You ready, sir?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
All right, y'all. We about to get started in just a minute. Waiting on our guest to come into the portal. As soon as he joins us through the portal, we will get this started. But y'all see where we at, man. It's Tantra Thursday. And we got a special guest, man. We got the guru in there. Oh, the guru just popped in here. Check 1 2, check 1 2.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. All right, we're about to get started here in just a moment now. We have a special guest in the house. Give me one moment here. Let's dull this music now. Y'all see what's going on. Welcome to the Too Much Moxie Podcast. I am your humble host. Too much. And we got the special guest in the building. We got the guru himself. The Jeffrey I Am from Quantum Wellness Ministry. And we got y'all with Tantra Thursday. We told y'all Tantra Tuesday, but we really meant to say Tantra Thursday.
Well, yeah, we call it Tantra Talk Thursdays.
Tantra Talk Thursday. Love it. We about to do it, man.
Hey, give me 1 second.
We've been waiting for this for a long time.
Something out right quick.
Go ahead. We've been trying to do this for a long time, man. It's been like 2-3 week delay. I got sick. Some other things came up on his end, but we worked it out for the day. So we're here today. So let me y'all see the thumbnail. We about to take the thumbnail down. And we about to get into it, man. But this is going to be an interesting talk, man. I did my research, man. I watched this Tantra Tuesday, and I was impressed. I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be really, really interesting here.
Yeah.
And there you go. Yeah. And I wanted to just let him do his thing, man. I got questions I can ask, but I want to just let you do your thing, man. You know, do me a favor, reintroduce yourself again to the viewers here that are showing up here.
All right. Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're good.
All right, cool. Yeah, I am Jeffrey. I am a quantum tantra therapist and a couples intimacy guide. We have offices in Malibu, California, then also in Atlanta, Georgia. We also have that's our office named the Quantum Wellness Center. And so my queen and I, we run both locations, and so we travel back and forth between the East Coast and the West Coast.
Shut up there.
Hold on 1 second. I'm outside. Hold on 1 sec. Because I needed a cover for the phone because it was overheating from the heat.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. All right.
We get it together, y'all.
There we go. All right. Yeah. So I am Jeffrey. I run the Quantum Wellness Center in Malibu and then also in Atlanta, California with my queen. We also have, in partnership with the 420 Wellness Jamaica, we have 8 resorts in Jamaica, on the island of Jamaica. We have an ayahuasca tour retreat that we do in Peru twice a year, and then we also have another event we do Christmas in Ghana.
Did you say
What's up, pal?
ayahuasca? Did you say
Oh yeah,
you know
yeah,
about
yeah.
you do ayahuasca? You know about ayahuasca? Say
Shoot,
what?
yeah. My queen, her godfather, runs a resort down in Peru.
Really? So you've
Yeah.
done. So you've done it.
No, I haven't. That's uh, right when we got together was the tail end of, or the second half of COVID and whatnot. And so they were like, as far as like going overseas, it was an issue at the time. And so we're gearing up for the first one for next year in February.
Okay, I'm going. I
Oh,
have a
you
good
got to.
buddy that.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I have a good buddy that's done ayahuasca, man.
yeah.
And he told me he changed his
Oh yeah,
life.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely.
But he goes to Mexico.
Well, was that the Yucatan?
I'm not sure, but
Hmm.
my buddy, my dad put him through the military. So one of his military buddies
Okay.
is the one that introduced him to ayahuasca,
Yeah.
and I've been doing my research on that too. I had another buddy was telling me about it as well, and it's man, it's like a out of body, out of mind, intergalactic portal, and you get exactly what you're supposed to get out of it,
Oh yeah,
and you
absolutely.
just
Yeah,
you
it
have this trip.
taps you into your DMT. DMT, the God
Yeah.
molecule, and so it takes you into other interdimensional travel, out of this world,
Hmm.
out of this body, out of your body experience. Yeah, it's off the chain. I mean, especially if you're looking to really, from a healing aspect, all types of healing. Yeah, that the ayahuasca is the
His
truth.
PTSD is gone. My
Hmm.
boy came back with PTSD. It's gone. It's
Uh-huh.
gone.
Oh
He's
yeah,
healed.
yeah. Especially like we talking about trauma and stuff like that. It helps you,
Hmm.
but basically it helps you see yourself and learn yourself and know yourself, and it helps you, rise above and beyond any and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, man, you know what? After you do something like you do an ayahuasca trip, there's like there's almost like you're not afraid of death. Like you could like whatever's on the other side, you can face it now because you know that this life it's not over in this life.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know for
I mean,
sure that
it's
there's
funny that you
something.
said that. Yeah, because actually you die in the experience. Your flesh dies in that experience, and then you ascend spiritually from that point forward. And so it's a great way to
Mm,
cross over to the other side and really start to see life from a different perspective as a spiritual being instead of just a human or a mortal. And so
right, right. It's like
it
you.
helps you come into the understanding or the knowing that there's just so much more than just what we experience here in the cell bodies, in our, in this shell. And so we're not just the shell. This is just a vehicle to move from one place to another in
Right,
this lifetime.
right. And I was watching this one of these one of the, Facebook got the reels now. They got these reels, and I was watching the reel, and on one of the reels that I was watching, this guy was like, humans are the only people on the planet that pay to exist here.
Right,
Humans are the only people on the planet that pay to exist somewhere that they were born into it. Like
right.
animals don't have to pay. We're the only, and then he said, "Well, who are we paying? And who put those people in charge that made us think that we need to pay? It cost us something to exist here."
Hmm.
So I'm like, man, that's pretty interesting, man. That's pretty interesting. But
Yeah,
but let's get back into it,
yeah.
man. This is
It's
this is
actually funny that
Tantra
you mentioned that,
Thursday.
because
Go
that
ahead. Go ahead.
speaks to a big part of what Tantra actually helps to correct. Because what you're referring to
Okay.
is the scarcity model, the scarcity mindset, the operating from the position of lack. And that's
Mm.
one of the cornerstones that when we're dealing with Tantra, that it helps you overcome. It frees you. It frees you mentally, frees you spiritually, frees you, it frees you, frees you, mind, body, and soul, so that you can function in your
Okay.
godlike nature.
Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. We're talking about godlike nature. We're talking about harnessing masculine energy. We're talking about understanding the balance between feminine and the masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us, man. Tell us, man. Why is tantra necessary for 2022?
True.
We know it's been around since we know it's like over five
Mm-hmm.
thousand years old. We know
Yeah.
it started in India. We know, but really,
Well,
did it
no, I
really start
started
in
way
India?
before that.
Yeah, okay, okay, that's what I wanted to. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
no,
good,
they just
good.
kept the written. They're the ones that kept the best records of the information that was passed down to them. But no, Tantra goes back eons. Yeah.
Eons,
Mhm.
huh?
Yeah,
Not even
no,
a
it
hundred
goes
thousand.
back
You said
quite a
eon,
time.
that's billion
Yeah,
years, man. Eons like infinity years or something.
yeah, yeah. It's an ancient science. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about
So we talking about what,
pre
the ancient
Kemet,
Samaritans or what?
hmm?
Kemet, pre-Kemet. Okay,
Pre Kemet,
we talking
yeah,
about the ancient Samaritans.
pre Assyria. I mean, all of, yeah, pre. I mean, it goes back. I mean, especially like
Okay,
now the thing is with the from the Indian culture and whatnot, because there's three fundamental types of tantra. There's mystical tantra. Well, the two main ones that you see here in the states is mystical tantra, and then you have the yogic tantra, or with the other word that is referred to as kundalini tantra. Yeah, kundalini yoga, and then you have
Kundalini. Okay,
active tantra, which is rarely practiced and greatly misunderstood by the masses. And so when you're talking about like mystical tantra, it's exactly that. It's sort of kind of flowy. It doesn't really have a. It's they're all paths to ascension, but it doesn't really have an active component. And so in recent times, you start to see the people that practice the mystical tantra and the kundalini yoga uh, adapt some of the active tantra practices, but they're still scratching the surface when it comes down to it. And then you have, of
okay,
course, active tantra. That's what Grand Trine Tantra is based in. And so the difference in that between the other two is you can actively see what's going on. You see the transformation. You see the energy. You see the not that we go out to go demonstrate what we do, in publicly on a regular basis, but you see the results in real time. And
okay, okay.
most people, they think of tantra. What's the first thing the average person thinks about when you hear tantra? They start talking about the Kama Sutra, or some sexual positions or some sexual persuasion or something like that. And sex is, if I mean,
They just
sex
get
is
all wrapped up in
not even
different
10%
positions.
of it. Yeah. Now, great. Now,
Okay, that's not even 10%.
yeah, if that. Yeah, I mean, it's just a piece. It's like saying sex is, tantra is sex is like saying you're describing a car, right? The sex part of tantra would be the power windows. It makes your trip much better, but it's not what it's all about. It's just a piece
Okay,
of it.
hold on real quick before we go any further. Hold on real quick.
Okay.
There's like a the connection's not okay. I want to make sure they hear you because the connection's kind of just you're coming in and out.
Oh,
Can you
am
hear
I?
me okay? Is there like a connection? Yeah, is there a
Yeah, I can hear
connection
you
problem on
fine.
my end? Okay.
Yeah.
On your end, there's a slight connection problem.
All right,
There's a
let me
slight
move
connection
inside then.
problem. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, how about now? You hear me better now?
Much better. Much better.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, oh, bam.
There we go.
Uh, get that right there.
It's gonna be interesting, man. This is gonna be a good one, you guys, man. We got the guru in the house. He's breaking it down. He's talking about DMT, ayahuasca. He's where we know he's not a novice now. We know he got that. that master on the back of that name. He done his mastery work in this thing, man. Because
Right.
he knows what he knows. So
Yeah. I mean,
I'm liking that. I'm liking that.
I wouldn't refer to myself as a guru or whatnot, but I'm pretty
I mean,
adept.
that's just me.
I
That's
guess,
me, man.
I'm pretty
You're a
adept in the
guru.
space.
You're a
Yeah. Well,
teacher.
not
You're a
have the
prophet in your
mastery.
home. So
Yeah, not that I don't have the mastery. It's just that I hear that term. I heard that term guru, and it kind of puts me in a different space. That's all. But because it's used so often in different ways on folks that may not qualify for that title. Yeah. So when I hear it, it's like, ooh, like but no, it's all good though. Yeah, but like I was saying, sex, that's just the tip. It's a benefit of tantra. It's not what tantra is, but it's the first thing that people think of is because when we got to when it was brought here to the States back in the day, the people that had access to it, that brought it here, actually from India and whatnot, they had a limited understanding, or I should say, a limited understanding of what it was all about. They just saw the sexual enhancement upgrades that they received while they were while they were overseas, and that's all they were stuck on. Like, ooh, I can do all these amazing things, but that was just a byproduct because ultimately, tantra isn't something you do. It's something it's what you are. It's something you activate inside of you. It's the orgasmic path towards enlightenment. And so,
orgasmic path.
yes, and what I mean by that is tantra. It taps into our sexual energy, our kundalini energy, and it takes us and it helps us rise from our lower nature that we're born with, that all of us are born with, and then it helps us to ascend up into creating a deeper, higher connection with the Most High, with all oneness. And so when you're talking about DMT, that's a result of that, at its highest forms, because the nickname for DMT is God molecule. And so when you have someone
That's right.
is experiencing deep levels of bliss, they're in another state of what Master Yao coins. He's my instructor, my tantra instructor, my lead tantra instructor. Um, he coins a high level orgasm, and that puts you into a state where you're experiencing an orgasmic experience that's full body and full spiritual, and it taps you into your higher nature to the point where you ascend, and it starts to create the DMT on a scientific level. The DMT is created, and that's what attaches you and plugs you into to having supernatural experiences. But in order to
Mm.
get to that, there's a lot of work that needs to be done initially to be able to open up your vessel to get to that point where you can tap into those higher levels of consciousness.
Open your chakra. Open your
Yes,
chakra.
absolutely. uh, absolutely. Hmm. And so,
Okay. So what you said a lot, but what would you say is the ultimate goal of tantra again, or tantra? What is the
to connect
ultimate
with the
goal?
Most High, to
To connect
ascend.
with the Most High,
I mean,
to
there's
ascend.
so many different paths to enlightenment. Yeah, and it's a path to enlightenment in its simplest form. And it's something that
Okay.
we're all born with. The thing is, because it's the way society is set up, it removes us from or detaches us from our power center. It's that scarcity mentality that you mentioned. That's what that is.
So,
Because now we have
so how do we
master.
get our power back? How do we get this power back? How do we know we lost it? We watched too much damn television. We plugged in too much to these media sources, right?
Hmm.
You know, a lot of us, we're not even connecting with our woman on a level that we should, right? The woman
True.
is probably the most unfulfilled that she's ever been, even with all these little tools and electrical devices they got. There's no fulfillment in that.
Right.
How do we get our masculinity back to where we can put it back down in the bedroom and come and walk away like, man, I'm a man. I'm, I'm back. Or how do we get that connection back with our queen to where they really rocking with us, where they really we're really flowing together as one, and not just scattered about doing different things.
Well, the first thing is Master Yao teaches about the pain body concept, and basically in
Pain body.
the pain body concept, it's a pain body collar, and where that stems from um, is and the concept called the counterfeit persona or personality. And what that is from the traumas that happened to us when we're growing up, issues with issues with our parents, issues with when we first started dating, as teenagers. Many of us, in general, don't complete puberty, and so there's a lack of development that follows us throughout the rest of our lives from that point if we don't fully
What do
have
you
a full
mean we don't complete?
yeah
And I mean, I'm
puberty.
sorry to cut you off. What do you mean we don't complete puberty? Many of us don't complete that. How so? What do you mean? How we not completing a puberty?
Well, emotionally, physically, spiritually, physically. Many, especially nowadays, with the way the foods are estrogenated and whatnot, a lot of men are walking around, coming up kind of short. The reason being is they didn't
You
complete
said
puberty.
coming up kind of short.
Yeah, I
Coming up
mean,
kind of short, huh?
I'm a straight shooter. I don't bullshit. I don't
He
BS
said a
around
lot of
with that
men are
shit.
coming up kind of. He said y'all short. Y'all ain't got the big D energy, is what he's really saying. He said y'all ain't got
Yeah.
that big D energy, and y'all
Hmm.
because y'all didn't fully develop yet. So you supposed to have the big D energy, but you don't have it because you didn't fully graduate puberty yet.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk
And
about it.
so they're
Tell
not
us
fully
about it.
developed. That's from the physical side. But what that's a reflection of is their disconnect from their
That's true.
energy center. And then when I meant by
Okay.
the thing is, penis size, there's a basic length that we in general. It's not that important when you realize when you tap into your tantric abilities, because if you have the power to concentrate and lock in on um, someone across, when you can have somebody go into a full body orgasm from across the ocean. Does D size really matter? No. Do you or have the ability to have
No,
your
you got
partner
that. You
go
got
to?
that spiritual D side. You got that spiritual D side. You got that. You got that spiritual connection that's touching it through whatever
Yeah,
energy you
yeah. Because
you're
I mean,
putting
the
out
basic
there.
law is there's no separation between time and space, and so once you understand that no longer actually exists, it's just a construct that we put to measure time, but it's not really. There's that rule can be bent, as far as being able to um, interact in different dimensions at the same time. And so when you're talking about like energy work or the active part of Tantra, yeah, I can connect with my queen anywhere.
So now
All
say
I
that
have to go
again.
into is a
There's
deep
no.
meditative state and start to channel and raise my vibration and create that vibrational field. And then boom, I send that to her, and then boom, and then she's floating into a whole nother stratosphere.
So explain that again. There's no separation between what?
Space and time. That's an illusion.
Space and time.
Yeah,
That's
that's an
an
illusion.
illusion. There's no separation between space and time. Explain that again. Explain the meaning of that. There's no separation between space and time. Like I'm here, you're there. There's no separation between space and time. What do you mean by that?
All right, in its basic form, right?
Hmm.
Where are you at right now?
I'm in Kenya, East
Okay,
Africa.
you're in a whole
Right.
nother continent, a gazillion
Hmm.
miles away from me right now, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
We're talking in real time as if you're standing right in front of me, right?
Right. But I got a laptop. You got a laptop or
That's
a
just the
phone.
mechan. Okay, but that's just the mechanical way for you and I to connect.
Okay.
That's a mechanical way for you and I to even perceive that this is even possible. Where that knowledge come from?
That's a good
Anything that
question.
we
Where
can,
did the,
anything that we can do with machines, we can do without them.
so is that
Once
like
we come into the
telepathy?
knowing of how it works.
So is that like telepathy?
Yeah, that's a way to put it.
Okay.
Hmm. I
Okay.
mean, it goes by many different names, but how to affect change on someone else?
Okay.
from a distance.
From a
Have you
distance.
ever had a person that just was like so bright and full of energy that when they walked into the room, it changed the whole complexion of the room? Like the whole room like started vibrating at a higher level.
Dr. Sabi, man, when I talked to that dude, man, and he told me I was gonna walk, man, and my whole body shook, man.
Yeah.
My whole body was like this dude was that powerful. That was probably the first time I've ever experienced something like that, where somebody's words shook the core of my
hmm
being.
Yeah, words are the number one path towards raising your vibration or raising it by to move vibrations, the vibrational to raise to a higher vibration through words, mantras, um, just the power of the word. Period. Our words are everything. And so, if you ever want, and the thing is that our biggest detriment in this space, in this spirit, in this realm, is the fact that the negative self-talk that we have within ourselves, and that keeps us in a
Mm,
lower vibrational stance, especially if we're dwelling in the past and we keep having that negative talk keeps circling around and around and around. With my clients, it happens all the time. Once I have I have like an interview process that I go through, and within 5 minutes I already know what's up because I hear what they're on that hamster wheel of negative talk, self talk, that they've been in for years, and it's manifested itself in a physical ailment.
mm. So you
Mhm.
believe in affirmations,
Yes,
the power
absolutely.
of positive,
Affirmations,
the power
mantra,
of positive thinking, the
qigong,
power
yeah,
of
all
positive
that.
mindset.
Yeah,
Okay.
powers in the word.
How do you?
That's why I
Okay. So
govern.
how do you?
That's why I govern my tongue. Like, right?
Mm,
You got
so how
to.
do you use that? How do you use affirmations to get ahead in life? To 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 break these curses that we put on ourselves and reverse the healing process, so we can be complete and
Uh,
not
the number one
vulnerable.
thing is being consistent with it,
Okay.
and also you need to. What we need to realize is that by the time we turn 35, 95% of who we are and how we function is through the subconscious. So the way we
Mm,
move in life, we're on autopilot. When we get up in the morning, drive to work, when we go to brush our teeth, go use, I mean, we pretty much do something, pretty much the same thing on a regular basis because we've been brought up that way and we've been conditioned to be in this same path. And so that's why it's more difficult to break habits, to induce change in ourselves, because by the time we hit 35, 95% of who we are, 95% of who the way we exist in this world um, is habit. We're not even aware of it. So when you take 5% of your conscious mind and you're like, oh, you see something like, oh, I want to make a change. And then you look up and you're like, damn, I want to do this diet. That's why most diets fail. It's because you only got 5% of your conscious mind trying to deal with 95% of your being. And so
mm,
what happens is you get to that point, it sounds good, you get charged up, and then life happens, you get triggered by something, and you back into the same old thing again. And that's because 95% of who you are is at the wheel. That's what's driving you. And so when you realize that, because most people they don't, they think they got they got free will. But by this time, they've given up their free will to bad habits. And so with those, and so once you understand that if you want to overcome an issue, a challenge, whatever's going on in your life that you feel is lacking, you really got to tap in from a spiritual standpoint, in addition to what you're consciously trying to make happen. Not trying, what you're consciously wanting to change. Say, for instance, with me, I'll give you everything that I do is always because of I've either done it or I know somebody, one of my clients have done it and I've helped them through it. Over the years, I've been in doing detoxing since, what was it? Since I was 32, 33. Yeah, 33. Since I was 33. right when I got married the second time, and I found out I was impotent because I like was eating crappy and whatnot, and it came back, and I had pre-stage prostate cancer. That's when I got deep into
Mm,
the whole wellness space. I've been in that wellness for over 35 years in general, but by that was the time when I got like really, really locked in and like, okay, this is what my life is going to be. Because, 32, 33 years old and you're looking up and, you're not functioning like on the level that you're supposed to. That would really have a tendency to jumpstart you in the right direction. And so anyway,
mm.
um, that when I first started doing my detoxes back then, I over the years, depending on what was going on, I do the detox, be in the best shape of my life. Time would go on, and then I would look up, and then I get triggered by something. I found out a few years back that I had a emotional dependency on food or emotional addiction to food, and so anytime I got depressed or I felt some kind of way, I started eating. And then that became and even though I would come out of the depression, I would still keep those same eating habits. And so over the years, my weight always ballooned up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I knew better, but guess what? 95% of what's at the wheel is my subconscious. And when life happens, you get triggered and you start to go back to your old ways. Just like with the drug addict, what's the first thing they tell them not to do when they come out of a program? Don't go back to your old community. And the
Don't
reason
go
being
back to
is,
your community.
yeah, don't go back. You got to go into another environment. And so it wasn't until 2 years ago that I added in because I approached my detoxing from a physical standpoint. Like, oh, I look great. I'm trim. I'm slim. I feel great. And then life would happen, and boom, I'm back into back into that same old rhythm, that same old bad habits because I never broke them. Even though I improved on many levels, I never like it. I didn't break it on a spiritual level. I didn't break it on a. It wasn't internal. It wasn't a part of my soul. It wasn't It was just a physical cell body change, but it wasn't a light body. Energy body. It sure wasn't an etheric body change because we have four bodies, and so each one um, represents our connection with the Most High on one level or another. And so we have the etheric
Four
body,
bodies.
four bodies, and so we have the cell body
Okay.
that's right here. Then we have the energy body, which controls as a direct contact control of the cell body, and then we have the light body, and then we have the etheric body, which is the one that connects us with the Most High. And so to the extent that those are communicating and are in alignment, and we have direct communication with all the bodies, and the condition of those other of the energy bodies, they're a reflection of what you see here. Just like you have reflexology zones all throughout your body, that's the number one reflexology zone, which is our light body, our energy bodies, and so we're a reflection of the condition of those. And so if those are intact, then that's how energy healing actually works. Once you start to feel how I can wave my hand over a client and they go into a full body orgasm and without touching them at all, it's because I'm interacting with their light body and then it's affecting change within their bodies. It's helping to alleviate the trauma. It's helping to remove, milk, fibroid, tumors and stuff like that, and uterine cancer issues and stuff like that. It's tapping into and helping them release whatever blockages or energy blockages that are in place that are causing them to have the challenges that they're experiencing.
So let me ask you a question. It's still on topic, but I gotta want to ask this. What do you think about these faith healers, these faith healers, these pastors who go around saying I got the ability to heal? They of course they never say them. They say it's coming from Jesus. They take on Jesus and then they do this and Benny Hinn stuff. Benny Hinn come through. Oh, fire, 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 fire on your soul, and then people just start shaking and they fall out under the power. How do you feel about these faith? Are they using tantra? Is that what they're doing? They're just not telling us. I mean, what are they doing? Is it real? Is it fake? Are they just pretending? Are they just what are
I
they doing?
can't unless I'm there to experience it firsthand. It's hard for me to really say who does what. I have my personal thoughts on what I see. You know, the coat way, wow, yeah, you know, I see the video, but then again, if I start to show videos and stuff, I do, and you see women out, you know, shaking and jumping off the table and stuff like that. To an outside person that's not there experiencing the energy firsthand, they would think you know, they wouldn't know whether to believe that, you know, it's true or not unless they're experiencing it themselves, you know, until they jumped up on the table, you know, and felt it firsthand. So I can't really speak to what others do. I do have some reservations regarding some of the stuff I've seen. But like I said, I can't really, it's not my place to speak to somebody else's spiritual walk. I can only tell you what I experienced firsthand myself, and you know, the folks I know that are real, the folks I know that get down, you know, get down with the get down and whatnot. And so,
So
like
let's talk
my
about.
spiritual instructors, you know, Master Yao, Ned Yama, you know, those are folks that I plugged into back in the day. And then, you know, Master Yao and I, we've been riding tight ever since. And besides that, hell, the teachers from Grand Trine, Tantra saved my life. I was at my lowest point ever, like literally, like at the bottom, my worst. Yeah, and it's taken me from being less, feeling less than human,
Mm.
to, you know, rising into my God nature. And man, I wouldn't trade that for nothing in the world. Man, feeding my divine sovereignty is everything, bro. And you know, and Tantra gave that to me. I mean, I've studied all kinds of stuff. I mean, you name it. You know, I'm you know, from Reiki to or you know, different levels of herbology, iridology, certified in iridology, different types of healing practices, quantum touch. That's where the quantum part in all of the work that I do comes from. Um, you know, you name it, but Tantra by far is like the car. It's the car, and then everything else is like the seat and the wheels and the tires and the motor and things like that. Everything else is a component of that. But Tantra is life, you know. And the thing is, I don't discredit anything else that, you know, that is out there that I study, because they all have that, they all play their role. But like the most complete modality that I've experienced, and what I've experienced the most change in, is Tantra, because
Okay.
Tantra is, it's not something you do, it's who you are. It's something you activate inside of you. We all have the same abilities. It's just the fact that most of us are ignorant of it. I mean, you're talking about something that maybe, you know, 99% of the planet has no clue even exists. And if they do know that it exists in a way that doesn't allow you to move into your complete power per se. It doesn't allow you to be, you know, fully exist, because the society we live in, the information was hidden, because back in the day it was practiced by only the, you know, the royalty and whatnot, and so and then it was passed down through royal lineage, and then I'm not exactly sure when, but at some point uh, it was made available to the masses and those that had an ear to hear. The thing is, folks have been so conditioned to be in their lower natures that even when they hear it, even when they see it, they're like, nah, that can't be it. And nah, it really is, but they're not elevated enough. They're not free mentally, spiritually, and physically to even be able to accept the information. So that what they call that, cognitive dissonance kicks in.
Yeah,
And
a lot
so
of
even though they see
cognition
it right
going
there in
on,
their
man.
face, they're like, nah, and they talk themselves out of it. I mean, myself, I've always been open minded, and so my first experience in Tantra was at a retreat with Nit Yama. Him and Master Yao came up together, and so Nit, he was out in California. That's how I ended up coming across him first. And the grand culmination of the weekend, that Sunday, he was like, I'm gonna do a active tantra demonstration. And it was probably about 30 of us in there. So 11, no, 10 guys, no, 9 guys and 21 women. 9 guys and 21 women. And, we came back in from lunch, and then he had one of the women volunteer, to be, to do the demonstration. And that's when I felt the shift, because he went into this deep meditative state. And, so there's 20 other women in the room. And then all of a sudden, you look up, and he starts the way he looks over, he can and it's funny because her eyes are closed on the table. She can't see nothing. And everywhere his eyes moved across her body, she trembled. And I'm like, the heck? Okay. And then he started to wave her hand and started to infuse her with his, his vibration. It started raising his vibration even higher, to the point where his divine masculine tapped into her divine feminine. And boom, she started going into this orgasmic orbit, man. She started orgasming just, it was a wave. And she's up and just going, to the point where she, after about 15, 20 minutes, his assistant was sitting at the head of the head, because she was on a massage table. So she was sitting at the head, and then the rest of the women in there, all of them, I started looking around, I started seeing them moving, and I'm looking, and I'm like, wait, what the hell? And 19 of the women was in full body orgasms wherever they were in the room. Man, it was crazy. I was like,
Now, let me ask you this.
yes.
Have you ever done this? Have you ever what Master Yao did? Have you ever done what Master Yao did in
Not on
your
that level.
practice?
Individually, yeah.
Okay.
With women, there's some things that I learned over the years through one of my other instructors, Jay English over at Honors Yoga. He has this thing called the snowflake, or the Holy Grail, not Holy Grail, the Holy Trinity, which is pretty dope. I'll be doing demonstrations and stuff over time, as I become more visible in the space. Publicly, everything I've always done is privately and whatnot, and for obvious reasons. Everybody doesn't want to be sitting on a video going through full body orgasm for the world to see. And so, and then also the healing nature of it, because yeah, it feels great, but the higher level components of it, it's deeply healing. Especially when because the clients that I attract typically have deep traumatic issues going on, deep traumatic blockages that they've carried since since they were knee high to a grasshopper. And so,
So we got a question from the audience real quick.
yeah.
How does it's from Walter Downing? Big ups to Walter Downing. How does it handle serious injuries? For example, someone hit by a drunk driver and it messed them up physically, sexually, and mentally.
Wow, that's a whole lot. They got hit by a drunk driver and then it messed them up.
I'm thinking like, hey, damn, messed them up. Like,
Ooh, man, that must have been a hell of a ride.
hey, I guess if you think about it, it depends on how they got messed up and fucked up
Yeah,
too. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, those are all individual challenges per se. The number one thing that Tantra is beneficial for is energetic blockages and relieving traumatic challenges, in particularly sexual challenges. Because the reason why sex is it's always there's such a high sexual benefit towards it is because you're harnessing our base energy, which is sexual energy. And so, and the number one thing that keeps us in bondage, and especially in this, the scarce society that we live in, is sexual suppression. And that sexual suppression of not just sex itself, because it's adulterated here, especially in Western society, but suppression of that sexual energy. So the things that they do keep us blocked and keep us in our lower nature. And so the number one thing it's good for is, and when those energies manifest themselves physically, like say for instance, for men, it manifests itself as erectile dysfunction, prostate issues, disconnection from their heart and their penis. Men being penis centered as opposed to prostate centered with their orgasmic identities and whatnot. Um, I already mentioned erectile dysfunction. In women, it shows up in uterine cancer, fibroid tumors, shows up in all types. I mean, the numbers of hysterectomies that are being done it's at an alarming rate, especially women of color. They're quick to take out their do hysterectomies in a heartbeat. Where is that coming from?
They are, man.
Yeah, where does
They
that come
are,
from?
man.
It comes from a few things. Actually, what you talk about when women aren't feminine because they've adopted a masculine type nature. And so they're operating
Mm.
outside of themselves to the point where they start to shut down their feminine attributes. And so their breasts start to shrink. They start to have a disconnection from their vagina. Women hold all their trauma typically in their womb. And so that's where all those root
Mm.
issues begin with. And so there are like mineral deficiencies that are associated with those challenges. And so you can deal with it from a cellular level. But like before I came into the knowing and understanding that the emotional aspect of whatever challenge somebody is dealing with has just as much to do with whatever they're not doing on the cell body level physically. And so before, like when my background, my original background in getting into the healthy wellness space was herbs. So I'm a certified herbalist. And I remember my grandfather had stage three prostate cancer. And one of my best friends, his dad had cancer like right afterwards, like within the same year. And he knew that I'd help cure my grandfather of stage three prostate cancer. And he was like, "Oh man, let me what's up with the herbs that you use, for your grandfather." And I was like, "Okay," I turned him on to it. But at that time, I don't really want to go into the details of what was transpiring in the home with his dad. But the gist of it was he didn't want to be here anymore. The
Mm.
situation was so ugly that he was dealing with that even though he was taking the herbs, he ended up passing anyway. And what that spoke to was the mental emotional challenge parts of what's attached to disease. Because I beat myself up for a while. Like, man, how come this didn't work? And he hit me up at the funeral. It's like, bro, and I thought you said his herbs is gonna work. And I'm like, yeah, I use the same protocol to deal with myself. I use the same protocol for my grandfather, my daughter. She's had multiple aneurysms. I've used the similar protocols to do, help her cure herself of the aneurysms. And so it's not something that I'm just making up or I heard about. It's what I do. It's what I've done, and I've done that for countless other individuals over the years. And so, but that's when I
So
came into
what are the herbs that you use? So what are the herbs that you were using for prostate? For somebody who may out to be may have it, what were some of the steps that you did to help cure that?
it's a detox,
Detox.
yeah, a
Okay.
full body detox. Yeah.
Full body
And then there's
detox. Okay.
a complete eating regimen that goes along with that. At that time, I was utilizing Dr. Rab's cancer detox protocol. Yeah, because this is years back. We're talking about, let's see, my grandfather was 20, let's see, I was 2005. It was right when I got married. And then my grandfather, he was 2011, 2012, right up in there. And then my boy's dad was a year after that.
What are the symptoms of prostate cancer? Like, how do you know if you have it or not? What are the symptoms of it?
Shoot, erectile dysfunction, that's a big one. Because that's a sign. Like when people have diseases, it's just a sign of something that's a challenge, something that's
Okay.
a mineral deficiency, an emotional blockage that's gone unchecked. And so and what happens is when you have those blockages and they go unchecked, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And over time, then it manifests itself in physical challenges. So anybody
Mm.
that's experiencing ED, they're prone to it. Lack of circulation. And so what I noticed when I had the early stage prostate cancer when I was 33, um, was that I had this cold sensation, like in that cold or that tingling sensation in my prostate area, because my prostate had enlarged from the foods that I was eating at the time. And so my second wife, prior to you know how it is when you first meet and connect with somebody. Everybody wants to put their first foot forward, and she knew I was a big foodie and whatnot, and she was gonna show me and put it down in the kitchen and get me hooked and stuff. And and at that point, at that time, I was a vegetarian. And so, and I came and I remember the first she invited me over for dinner, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make you a special dinner. We dated and stuff. And I roll up, and and she's like, oh, the front door is open. I come in, I walk in the kitchen, booty all bow, banging in out this world, and she over there cooking with these little short shorts because it's the early summer. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I look over, she got some smothered something. Her folks is from down south, and so everything she made was smothered this and fried that, and the chicken and pork chops and this and that. So, and I was like, you know, am I really about to tell her after she didn't put in all this time that I'm not gonna eat this? And so and it smelled good. I ain't gonna lie. I had been a vegetarian since college, and so by this time I was in my 30s, early 30s, and so I just went along with it.
One time ain't gonna hurt. One time
Well,
ain't
no,
gonna
well,
hurt. You
one
thought,
time
right?
turned
Like it
into
ain't
all
gonna
the time.
hurt.
Well, no, one time turned into all the time. Every time she
But
cooked.
that's how it happened to me, man. Because I was vegan for like 3 years, right?
Uh,
3 years straight, man. I was going strong, man. You couldn't get me to touch meat. But the
hmm
moment I went to Africa, the moment I came here, and
Yeah.
I tried that yuma choma, that goat meat,
hmm
that fresh goat meat. That one time turned into all the time, and I haven't
Exactly.
been back since, man.
And it
I
turned
haven't
into
been
a
back
habit.
since.
But see, the thing is, my approach to being a vegetarian was physical. It wasn't a spiritual change for me. It wasn't something I did on a emotional level because I still have my emotional attachment to eating, and where that stemmed from was from when I was a kid. Um, when my parents were divorced when I was 2, and then over the years they were always like back and forth trying to hook back up and stuff like that. And I remembered my happiest times was when my dad took us out to eat. We go to Sizzler or the Red Lobster, something like that. And
Hmm.
I remembered that feeling, like of feeling whole in those moments. And so when I got older, every time, I closed a big deal or, every chance I got, I was always taking the family out to eat. And so I had this emotional connection to food that technically wasn't necessarily a good thing. It wasn't a healthy thing. And so when my relapses happened over the years, it was during the times I got depressed or I felt some kind of way or I felt triggered and went, and fell back into that mode. And so in that, I didn't want to create that negative space. And so that's how I would fall back into it. But once I fully locked into and tapped into the spiritual side of it, came into the knowing of the emotional attachment that I had when I did that detox because I detox 4 times a year. I detox 4 times a year. I do 2 full body detoxes with the herbs, and then I do 2 extended fasts in conjunction with the changing of the seasons. And so
Okay.
uh, during that detox, that's when I really inserted the whole, went in and started doing my shadow work, which helped me correct and deal with the inner challenges that were going on inside of me. And then I also really got deep in my, spiritual practices and my mantras and my yoga practices and really becoming disciplined spiritually and tapping into that side. And that's what helped me move and under coming to a knowing of my emotional attachment to food, my emotional addiction to food. And I was able to break that habit. And so now, I fast all the time. I do,
So
60-hour fast, every week. I just came off a dry fast on yesterday at noon. Um, And then when I'm not doing a dry fast, I do a liquid fast, water fast. Now I don't even call it liquid fast because it's just
So
water.
so tell my audience again the power of detoxing and the importance of it,
Hmm.
and also fasting
Yes.
and why you practice it.
Okay. So the thing is, no matter how clean our diet is, because I found this out when I went to go get a colonic, because I'm like, oh no, I eat my diet is clean. And man, he put that tube in and turned it on and cranked it up, and that water started to drain back out. And all that, I saw all that stuff floating through the tube because you can see all the parasites floating up out of you. And he was like, "Yeah, you didn't think." And he looked at me. He's like, "Yeah, you didn't think you had nothing coming out, right?" And I was like, "No, like like where's this come from?" And he was saying that, yeah, he said, "No, vegetarians get parasites too. They're just a little bit different. That's all. They may not be quite as massive, but they're called flutes."
So you
And
mean I
so
got parasites in me, man? They're trying to tell me I got parasites in me, man?
we all do. Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
God! Don't tell me
Actually,
that.
I recommend doing a colonic in conjunction with the tail end of your detox because
A
it'll be like
colonic.
much more
When
effective.
you say a colonic, I mean, are you talking about the?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It took me forever to get to that point. Yeah, 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 yes, for the same
No,
reasons.
no, 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 no,
Uh, but
no, 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 no,
it was to tell one of my boys.
no, no,
He
no.
he hit
That's
me
an
up.
outro. No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
that's right, man. You preaching to the choir, man. You preaching to the choir, but I swear by him now because
Really,
it supercharges your detox. Because the
really.
thing is, the detox will loosen everything up in your system, and you'll eliminate most of it. But then there's going to be them things that are so lodged into your colon and into your digestive tract that they won't detach
So are
during
parasites
your
like
detox.
worms? Like what are they, man? Are they bugs? What are I got bugs in me? What is that? Is it
D, all the above.
so all the food I've eaten, and because I've never gotten a colonoscopy, man. Never ever, man. I'm
Not a
scared.
colonoscopy, colonic.
Colonic. Okay, what's the difference between a colonoscopy and a colonic?
A colonoscopy is like a camera that they put inside your colon to see to look at the condition of your colon.
Okay.
Yeah, colonic is actually a flush.
So but it's still the same thing. They put a thing up your.
Yeah,
Yeah,
except for
yeah.
the colonoscopy. Well, no, I mean as far as the colonic, it only goes up like a few inches, if that. Enough so
Okay.
your anus creates a seal so that the solution goes up inside and it fills up, goes up your colon and goes into your large intestines, small intestines, and it fills those up and cleans them out, and it removes
Okay.
all the old
Okay.
fecal matter. Yeah, because that's what makes it
Okay.
sick.
So let me get another question from the audience, man. Let me get another question. Walter again, man. You got some questions. Can some things from social entities be considered as a block or disease? If so, is there a detox for that? How much or little does that affect matching energies and couples' wellness?
I mean, social media has its place, and it's we all
Okay.
need balance in our lives, correct? But
Of
when you look
course.
at but when you look at the abuse of it, which typically most folks, especially the millennials, my daughter, she fall asleep with the phone in her hand like this,
Mm.
and when you look at those TED talks when they talk about the designers of Facebook, the addictive properties that they engineer into Facebook and the social media platforms, they now it moves from just being okay, let me have a little break from whatever I'm doing, to it's a distraction, and it keeps you in a frame of mind that most people, they get to a point where they feel that it helps perpetuate that whole scarcity mentality, the scarcity model, because it puts us in a state of being where we're so locked into that whole social media platform. And when you look at a lot of the stuff that's on there, it's so much negativity. And who shot John and why, and over and over and over again. we're getting hit with these negative, things and whatnot, to where we start to internalize that and embody that. And it starts to perpetuate that pain body collar that I was mentioning to you from the get-go. It starts to feed into that counterfeit personality that I was speaking, that Master Yao talks about in the books, the
Now
master, master, master feminine.
explain the counterfeit personality, because that's interesting. When I was watching your show on Tuesday, you
Hmm.
talked about the counterfeit personality
Yeah,
or counterfeit persona.
yeah,
What is that? What's that all about? Do we need to rid ourselves of this counterfeit,
hell
or
yeah,
do we
absolutely.
embrace it?
Because
Okay, okay. Talk
you
to us
cannot,
about it.
zero. I quote, you cannot tap into your higher nature. You cannot ascend. You cannot connect with the Most High in a meaningful level if you're living in and you have that pain body collar choking you off from your higher nature. You cannot have a meaningful relationship with the Most High. And what I mean by that, not that I know that God exists, I mean that I function in a God-like capacity through life. You cannot plug into that if your counterfeit persona precedes you. Because the thing is, it's the analogy of the cowboy that rides cross country on a horse, right? And he rides so long on that horse that he believes he's the horse. He and the horse are one. He can't get off the horse. And so that counterfeit personality, it stems from traumas that happened as we were growing up and develop over time. And it's a defense mechanism that we create to shield ourselves. And what it ultimately does, depending on what level it's at, it makes us, it speaks to like what you talk about all the time. These modern women, they're functioning in a condition or from a position of that counterfeit personality. That's not their innate natural. And you say, and I love the way you compared it to, because you say modern woman and then the natural woman, right? A woman being in her natural feminine state. That's what women normally function as. And but
That's
I mean,
right.
you got the same thing for men on the flip side. And
So
so,
how do you know if you have this counterfeit persona? How do you know if you're walking around masking, but you really don't know you're doing it? Like, cause I
yeah.
could have a counterfeit person. I'm trying to. Do I got a counterfeit persona?
All right. Well,
What
I'll
is
tell you,
this,
like,
man? How do you know?
in the book, it breaks it all down. Like I say, but
Okay.
I'll use me an example. My counterfeit personality was anal. And so there's five of them, five main categories. So anal, schizoid, masochistic. I forget the other two off the top of my head. It'll come to me, but mine was anal. And
So
having
what
an
is anal?
anal,
What does that mean? What does that mean? Anal, like,
like my go-to defense mechanism or my go-to toxic behavior was winning or is winning. And so what happens is this counterfeit personality is born out of lack, born from the scarcity model. So it's born out of not having enough. And so I always, because like, growing up, my mom was abusive. All shit I've ever heard from her is like, you're stupid, you dumb MFer, you the son of the devil, all kind of just whatever you can think of. And, then add in the
wow.
beatings and the molestation and all that other stuff that came along with it. And so um, I always had this thing about not being enough. So that was my position of lack. And so guess what I always had to do? I had to win. I had to be the best. I had to go hard at everything. Now, I do martial arts. My family, all do Kaiju Kimbo. That's phenomenal in the ring. When it comes time to, square up against somebody and whoop their ass, yeah, I gotta have that winning mentality. But when my queen and I are having a disagreement, do I need to win? Do I need to have the last word? Do I need to overtalk her and get all out of character? No, I don't need to win. We need to come to a compromise. We need to come to an understanding. And so that I have that win first mentality transferred into everything I did, to the point where it was toxic. So that toxic winning mentality, that's the sign of anal, somebody that's anal.
So were it's like perfectionist. Everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be your way or no way at all.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's there. Okay.
yeah, and not only do
Maybe I
I
have
have
a
to
little
win,
bit of
I
that.
got to win big.
Maybe
Yeah.
I have a little bit of that. Maybe
Yeah, and
a
so
little bit.
that was my my go to, and then yeah, so when you're looking at that toxic and so and that preceded me in my relationship because I always had to win, always competing on some level or another, and
But I
that
love to
doesn't
compete, bro. I love to compete. I
yeah.
love to win. I
Hmm.
love to I love to challenge myself. I love to do stuff that other people can't or not can't do, won't do. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
I like the mentality, like it like fasting.
Right.
As much as it's uncomfortable, you know, don't challenge me because I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll go 6 days with no food or water just to be like
Hmm.
I did it. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
so
Now, so it
I don't
has
know.
its place.
It does.
It,
It does. It
it has
has to
its
have its
place.
place, man,
No, by all means,
because
because
I enjoy competitiveness, man. I just
yeah,
enjoy
because
I just enjoy even
iron
friendly
sharpens.
competition.
Yes,
Right,
absolutely.
right,
Iron
right, right,
sharpens
right, right,
iron.
right.
So no, it has its place. But when you operate from a position of lack, like
Mm,
I'm doing it because I feel less than, and that's the only way that I can make myself feel better than. I got to be better than
okay,
you. That's
got
toxic.
you, got you. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
toxic. Right, right, right.
When it
Okay.
starts to consume you, and that's all your whole being, your get down is, I got to win at all costs. That's a problem.
Mm,
That ain't healthy. And it sure sucks for relationships.
right,
Yeah. I gotta
right,
have the last word. I gotta show you up. That type of stuff. Nah, man, that's some bull. Especially in relationships. Yeah, especially in relationships. Especially with your
right, right.
queen. You don't need to be bad, like verbally going at her and stuff. Like, wait, why am I arguing all emotionally charged over something that ain't even, but let's just have a conversation. Let's talk about it, baby. What's going on? you know and so that counterfeit personality, that's a whole lesson in itself. I could go on and really like start breaking the whole thing down. We could have like two shows around it, like, because that's the number one thing that you need to do to be able to do the work and to begin your ascension, because that counterfeit personality creates that pain body collar. And what that pain body collar concept is, it's a manifestation of the counterfeit personality. It's that shame, that because the counterfeit personality comes from traumatic experiences, things that cause the emotion, that emotional challenges, bad things that happen. We talk about like accident, traumatic experiences and stuff like that that we haven't let go of, that are
Mm.
starting to, and then when they get depending on what level they are, because they have like mild to like necromancy, which is just no hope at all. At that point, it's almost like a person can't even be saved, because no matter how much you tell them about it, they like looking at you with a fluoride stare, like, huh? I don't know what you're talking about. As a matter of fact, hell, they'll get pissed off at you and try to fight you. You try to tell them like, hey, this is what I see. You don't see that. What you talking about? They get all defensive, and they don't want to hear it.
So let me explain something, man. I'm on vacation, right? So I got these Twitter fingers. I'm on this social media. If anybody wants to know, they can go look at my Facebook profile. I can go through some of the messages I go back and forth with these modern women, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but I'm starting to think it's a waste of time now. I already got one person block me. One person just said some very, 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 you know, they just spew out sickness. They just spew out this sickness, and they think that I'm affected by it, but I'm not. I really, I really just leave it up there because I'm like, when the man comes, see, men like do our research on women. One of the first places, ladies, if you don't know what you put on social media, we will go back and find it and read up and find out about you. We'll know who you are. So I can leave it up there. So all they do is ruin their chances of ever finding a man when they start spewing out this toxic stuff that comes out their mouth. I try to combat logic. I try to come at them with logic, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like, how do you combat logic? How do you combat emotions with logic? It's like it doesn't work. It's like I feel like now I'm getting to the point. I'm like, you know what? It's a waste of time to even entertain or question because it comes off so innocent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see them. You see when you give them the answer, they don't want to accept the answer,
Right.
so they just come out. They just come up with more emotions to prove that to try to prove that they're right and you're wrong.
Yeah. When you're in that,
How did you come?
you don't.
Is it really a waste of time to
You
even go
don't.
back and forth with them
Because no matter what
and
you
hit them with
say,
that logic?
it's not gonna happen. If it's somebody you're close to and
Yeah,
you have the
it's
ability
people
to
that I
come back
went to
to
high
them
school
at
with.
some other point, but as long as
Mm.
somebody's emotionally charged, they can't hear nothing you're saying. Not a thing.
So no
It's
matter
a
how humble
it's a
I
waste of
try to
your
make
energy and
myself
time.
sound. Yeah,
Mhm.
no matter how humble I try to make myself sound, man, and no matter what logic I bring to
It don't
this one
matter.
lady hit me up and she was like, there's the whole thing going on with Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey, right?
Hmm.
How do you handle a situation like that? Let's use this situation. You're Michael B. Jordan. You're dating this African American woman who happens to be rich like you. She's not broke. You know, she comes from a good family. Her dad's Steve Harvey, whatever.
Hmm.
You have a history of dating rappers and futures and bad boys and all that stuff. But here comes a good, decent guy comes along. Your dad likes him. He says, I can't find anything wrong with this guy. I
Hmm.
tried, but he's a good dude. And I'm happy that he's with my daughter because she's not messing with future. Right?
Hmm.
He was not liking that.
Right.
So he goes out and he treats her like a queen. You know, he wines her and dines her. You know, does all the things that you're supposed to do as a man. And all the women are like, oh yeah, Michael B. Jordan, he's so, you know, man, oh they look so blah blah blah, they're so perfect. And then all of a sudden, you know, because Michael B. Jordan's a good dude, he's not
Hmm.
just dating with the intention to sleep with you. He's dating you with the intention to take it to the next level. To excuse me, excuse me.
Hmm.
He's dating you with the intention of for marriage.
Right.
You as Lori Harvey, excuse me, hold on. Damn,
Oh.
I'm still getting over this cold, man. Still getting over this bacteria infection I had out here.
Right.
Um, um, so he's dating you with the intention to
Hmm.
marry.
Right.
You as Lori Harvey, you know that. You already know that. So when he pops the question, it's not a surprise, but she turns him down. She turns him down. She turns down the good guy, the guy that she knows that her dad likes, the guy that she knows that's different from all the other guys she's dated. He's 30, son. He's 33, 35. She's 25, something like that,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But she's not ready for marriage for whatever reason. She's not ready yet because I don't know. She's just not ready. She turns him down. So now the internet's going crazy saying, you know, oh, she was for the street anyway, blah, 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 blah. You know, Michael B. Jordan dodged a bullet, blah, 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 blah. And now you hear the women saying, well, Michael B. Jordan wasn't good enough for her anyway because she's a TikToker. Michael B. Jordan, how is Michael B. Jordan the catch when she turned him down, her turned his proposal down?
Hmm.
Now there's even stuff
So.
going out where Michael B. Jordan haven't done a movie since Killmonger, right?
Right.
So, so Lori Harvey is this TikToker yoga specialist, whatever.
Hmm.
So she's doing more than him.
Mm. Well, I mean,
And
I
you got all these women jumping on Lori Harvey's side, and you got the men like, nah, man, Michael B. Jordan's a good dude, man, and you know, thank God, you know, he dodged that bullet because she was going to try to take him for everything he got.
well, given I don't know much about the situation personally, as I don't really, uh, I hadn't heard about it, but based on what you're telling me, so the past, the dudes that she's dealt with in the past, they more of the bad boy
She
type,
dated P Diddy and P Diddy's son. I mean, how you do that? She dated P Diddy
right?
and P Diddy's son. Future
Okay.
with 9, 10, 20 baby mamas. Okay, she was one of the harem of Future. You know, Future wasn't faithful. He let you know that. She was one of the harem.
Okay. Well,
Now it's
I,
allegedly,
w-
check this out. Now it's allegedly that she's dating the what's that white boy rapper? Harvey, something. There's this other dude. Now she supposedly moved on to another rapper.
okay. Well, being that seems to have an affinity towards the bad boy type, hustler type, you know, that speaks to without knowing, just based on the information you've given me. My assumption would be that she has a negative womb imprint,
Mm,
and what that
mm.
means is for women, the first three men or boys, a lot of the times that they that that they've been sexually involved with, to a lesser extent, each one of them imprints on her. The first one being the strongest, the second one, and then the third one. Those are the summary of those three individuals is who she's naturally going to be attracted to, no matter what. And so when a good guy, somebody that doesn't fall under which she's naturally attracted to or been imprinted to be attracted to, it doesn't matter how much or how cool he is or what he has. She's never going to be fully satisfied unless she has that womb imprint removed.
How does one remove something like that? That's a
There's some tantric practices that will remove
okay.
or clean out a negative womb imprint,
Okay.
and because subconsciously and energetically, she's going to be attracted to those types for the rest of her life. And so, like when you hear about, um, and so prime example, the with my clients, a lot of most of my clients are like in their 30s, early 40s, and they have a tendency to, like, especially if they're in unhappy marriages, which almost it's sad to say, but then almost everybody is, but many of them, I'll just leave it at that, are in unhappy marriage situations. And a great deal of those women, they have their husband, which is, and what do most women marry men for? Stability, right? The
Yeah.
breadwinner,
Yeah.
the guy
The
that's going to
breadwinner.
be, faithful and there and raise the kids, and so they can have security. That's the number one thing that rates on a woman's list as far as just overall desires and what they want and why they would get married. Then they have their side dudes, and that's the dude that they sexy.
Mm.
Yeah, especially if their husband is, out doing his thing and then lost interest and whatnot. Because the thing is, when you talk about like that whole intimacy and sexual attraction and stuff falling apart, is because a lot of times what that is a sign of is their womb imprint, they don't get that same arousal, that same charge, because the guy that the stable guy, the safe guy that mama said go marry him because he's got a good job and he's gonna take care of you and you can have your house and your car and blah 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 blah. Throughout that whole time, shoot, she craved this dude's boring to her. This dude don't fit her sexual profile because he's not a combination of those first three guys.
But her sexual profile is not going to be faithful. Her sexual profile is not going to wife her up. Her sexual profile is not going to give her the things that she really wants.
And that's why it's important to remove that negative womb imprint, especially because a lot of times, like I said, especially if they started young, they having sex with boys.
Mm.
I mean, think about who I think about who I was as a teenager, getting down and stuff like that. I had no right to be running up in no females.
That's a fact. Me
Yeah,
neither.
because I ain't, like, my development. I mean, in general, there's general innate. solidness and whatnot. But when I look at who I was back then, I was toe up. After all them years of abuse and all that type of stuff out in the streets, hustling, grinding, I didn't give a damn about nothing but making my paper back then. Thank God, my daughter was born, conceived when I was 17, born when I was 18, because she saved my life. Because I
Mm.
sure as hell would have been dead or in jail for
Mm.
a long time, probably just touching down now that I'm about to turn 50. And
Mm.
so, yeah. And so when I look at that, I had no business sexing some female at back then because of who I was, and at that stage, what's the attraction? Oh, he cute. Oh, he got pretty eyes. Oh, he dressed nice.
What does that mean?
No judge of character. And
Right.
just touch base on what it shows up at its worst one at its worst point. Actually I've had a number of clients that their first encounters, they were raped.
Mm.
Oh,
R word. R word. It's okay. R word. Wow.
my bad, bro.
It's all good. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Their first encounter, they were hard, and they ended up moving back and attracting and having that happen multiple times throughout their life. It was like, well, how do you keep ending up with these types of individuals? And because the first time, and and the way it normally works is somebody somebody you cool with.
Mm.
And so, somebody you have some kind of connection with, they're in your space, in your circle. And so she kept reattracting that throughout her life. And then I broke it down to her like, hey, you do realize that you have a womb imprint that's attracting these types of individuals. You're attracted to them.
Mm.
And then she looked at it, she was like, oh my God. Okay. And now the choices, now that that understanding is in place, it's like, oh, okay. And so then we went through a series of, doing the negative womb imprint, removal and whatnot. So there's some tantric rituals and practices that are done. A yoni wand is really good for that and removing those blockages because there's dead spots inside the vagina and whatnot. And so because wherever those traumas lie, they show up as either pain inside the vaginal walls or they show up as dead spots in the vaginal walls. There's a disconnect. And so for many of
Mm.
us, the biggest challenge that exists through that sexual suppression is the fact that there's a disconnect between our sacral region, our genitals, and our heart. And in particular for women, their genitals, their heart, and their throat, because women aren't allowed. They have to suppress their voices many times because they're in oppressive situations where they're not allowed to speak
Mm.
their mind freely and openly, and so they shut that down. So that's why you hear about so many women having thyroid issues. Is because of for that very reason is that they're shut down. They've never been able to really speak and speak their mind. And so the thyroid and then the heart, they've been hurt and they're harboring that pain. They have a heart cage. That was something I actually had myself, that heart cage. And so because I had an inability to love openly without condition. And so that conditional
Mm.
love, like, everything was like in some sort of like exchange. There's another part of that anal personality is, being materialistic. Everything is done in a do for me, do for you thing. Do for me, do for you thing. Everything. Now, granted, it's supposed to happen like that naturally, but before it was that's how I function. And so another aspect of that anal personality is being materialistic, always having to have the biggest and best. And why? Because I operated from a position of lack. I operated from a position of I don't have enough. I operated from a position of no matter how much I did, I always had to have more because that was my defense mechanism. I'm gonna show you that I'm a winner. I'm gonna show you that I'm smart. I'm gonna show you that I'm this and that. And so the greatest thing that when Master Yao broke that down to me, I was like, whoa, I started looking at everything that I did way differently. And so when we talk about the shadow work, the biggest misconception about people doing shadow work, that's another term for, removing the counterfeit personality or persona, uh,
Okay.
is that you don't necessarily get rid of it. You just have an understanding that it's there, and it was put in place to protect us. And so now I turn on that anal personality at times that I need to go win. When I'm in the ring, I need to go win. When I'm I'm racing, racing cars, racing motorcycles, I need to go win. When I'm with my wife or my queen, I don't need to win. We just need to work it out.
Right.
Yeah, when I'm with my children and whatnot, I need to hear them out, hear what they got to say, and then channel that and deal with them from a loving standpoint. I don't need to win an argument or win every single thing. You know what I mean? Because I'm inhibiting their growth. Another component of the anal personality is, or the emotional addiction, is to be aroused. And so I used to get aroused through food. And so that's why I had that consumption type mentality. I got to eat. I got to be doing something. I got to be going. I got to be, I got to get that charge. And what's the number one sabotage in relationships for the anal persona is overwork. And you know how I work around the clock.
Well, man, I'm trying to, I mean, I do 60 hours when I'm back in the
Mhm.
States, you guys. I work 60 hours, even 70. I've even worked
Yeah.
80 hours in 1 week before. Okay, that means
Mhm.
7 days a week, 10, 12 hour shifts. No, not too many breaks. Okay, and
Yeah.
I've done it, and, so I don't know.
No,
I do that.
there's
I
a
go into
difference
that
between,
zone.
but see, there's a difference there. There's I'm doing it to go achieve a goal, and there's
Right.
another difference between I'm doing it because I'm self-sabotaging a relationship.
You're trying to
I'm doing it
avoid
because I
coming
don't want to
home.
deal with something at home.
There you go. Yeah,
I'm
talk that.
working, I'm grinding. That's my excuse is, oh, I'm working. I ain't got time to deal with that right now. I'm grinding so hard that I don't have the time to, or I'm not allowing myself time to emotionally process the challenge that we're going through one on one. That
Right.
that so that's where, so it's nothing wrong with working a lot. There's nothing
Mm.
wrong with, hey, I got a goal and I'm going after it. But there's something wrong when you got some stuff on the table that you're avoiding dealing with because you're working. I'm working so that I don't have to be around you, type of thing. Rather than let
Yeah.
me deal with you, how are we gonna work this out? No, let me create this invisible wall between us to the point where we end up breaking up. Yeah, yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
one way to get her to leave you alone, right? Just go to work.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
Hey,
the perfect
she gonna get
excuse.
bored eventually. She
And
gonna
I
get
got
bored
work.
eventually, right?
Yeah.
Got work to do. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this, man.
So
How does can someone start tantra on themselves, or do you need a guide? Do you need a guru? Do you need a guide? Can someone can someone go into this on their own, or is it, or read a couple books and come out, or do you got to go through the classes, the courses? is
mm,
is there a starting point for tantra? Is there a starting point for tantra?
yeah, the number one thing is the books. It boils that nothing replaces having that connection with an instructor. Nothing
Okay.
replaces having that going down and having that connection I have with Master Yao. I can't, because in my time with him personally and going to like the tantra weekends and stuff like that, or being with him week in and week out in class, virtually and in person, from when I initially started, there was that. You remember we were talking about that? You see something happening, and it took a minute for it to actually resonate. Because I'm in a room, like I said, like when I first started, I was in a room with Nick Yama, and he was doing a tantra, demonstration, and 19 women was in full body orgasms. It
Was
took
there a
me
bit of
a year.
cognitive dissonance there? Was there a bit
Yeah,
cognitive
exactly.
dissonance?
and I was
Okay.
in it.
Mm.
Literally in the middle of, I'm sitting there, a lady on the next to me, all around me, they just stretched out, going in orgasmic orbits, and I'm sitting there looking like, and so my rationalization for it was, okay, that's something that he can do, but I can't do that.
Mm.
And so then when I connected with Master Yao, because his classes didn't start up until 6 months later, and but I had gotten his books and I was reading the books, and you get a lot from the book. Thank God I read the book, Master and the Master Masculine, and Master and Awakening the Master Feminine, and Awakening the Master Masculine. Those are the first two books I read, because that explained to me the counterfeit personality. It explained to me um, the the cornerstones of being a man, and helped me move in that direction, because that's probably the biggest key after you identify your counterfeit personality, is now you have to work towards becoming, mastering your awakening your master masculine, operating your divine self. What does it mean what does it look like to be a complete man? As a matter of fact, a lot of the whole high value man concept comes from Master Yao's writings from back in the day. A lot of them pulled from the books. They don't really speak on it, but when you look at like certain individuals within the Maniverse and stuff like that, they read those same books. That's where they got their foundation from. They watered it down. They only took bits and pieces out of it.
Mm.
But when you look at the full scope, because that's what really, when I say like I was at my lowest bottom, like the worst of the worst. I mean, like a year before that, my mom had poisoned me. My spine was all jacked up. I was recovering from that. I lost a major contract. I was running the farmers market out there in South LA, Compton area, and the contract fell apart, and so we didn't get renewed. So I was broke, lonely. I was all toe up,
You
man.
said broke,
And
lonely.
then,
That go together. When you broke, kind of lonely, kind of come with that
oh
too.
yeah, 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 yeah. And then
Jesus
that's when
Christ.
I had suppressed all the memories from when I was a kid, about the molestation and all the beatings and stuff, and that's when I started to remember it. And so then I was remembering that it was causing a short circuit in my system. So I had erectile dysfunction. So I couldn't get down in the bed. I couldn't even relieve myself. There was no
Mm.
escape. It's all corners of my life was tore up
Man,
in the trash.
that is terrible,
So
man. That will put you. That will.
yeah, oh, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I was miserable, man. And so um, the first thing was I identified that counterfeit persona, and the next thing was to awaken my master masculine energies and my archetypes. And so these are the tools that every man should have, and the women have their version of that as well, that make you a complete individual. And once you bring those online, then everything else, it opens you up to be able to do the work. But the first thing is self mastery. So technically, yeah, you can do it on your own, but um, you can speed it way up when you have an instructor with it. When you have, the teacher, the master teacher, that because you're getting this information, because you have to keep in mind that you're trying to digest this information from a level of ignorance with no guidance. And so, granted, it's detailed, it breaks everything down. Thank God I read it before I started the class, because then it made me excel when I got to the classes. It was
So
like,
let me
oh,
ask you this:
mm-hmm.
will you come back and do some tantra sessions for us, for my audience again?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I
that's
mean, you know what though? I can send you a recording of it, but to do it live like that, because of the nature of things that go on within a session, um, a lot of things come up. When I mentioned the power of Tantra, not to say that these things can't happen in other modalities, but it happens quite regularly. Once the energy starts to move and the blockages start to clear up, um, I've had situations where I've dealt with epigenetic curses, especially with women that have had like womb issues and whatnot. And there's some bizarre situations that I don't. It would be better to film it, and then I could we can play it. But yeah, you
Okay.
can like play the recording. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Okay. And
just because of the that's the reason why I don't really have any videos of the work, and it's because of the things that come up that wouldn't be
suitable wouldn't be
suitable.
comfortable for that person
Yeah,
live to
yeah.
come on.
Because
Okay.
I mean, like literally, I've had
Okay.
situations where I'm dealing with
So so what
um,
about this?
ancestors coming up and speaking through the person while they on the table and stuff like that.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. It
You
gets deep.
having an exorcist. So you saw so see so
Yeah,
so now so now I gotta ask
that's
this.
why I say
Okay.
it's levels to it.
Right.
Yeah,
Would you consider yourself a Christian?
that's where I was raised.
Okay.
I consider
Okay.
myself spiritual though.
Okay.
Both my
Okay.
grandfathers were pastors,
Okay.
and so yeah, my grandfather on my mother's side, he was an assistant pastor over at West Angeles, the head of the Kojic Church of
Oh,
God. Yeah,
Church of
yeah.
God in Christ. Uh-oh.
Uh,
In the
and then
name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost.
yes,
You
absolutely.
got
And
to the
my
Holy Trinity.
father, yeah. And then on my
Ah,
father's side, he actually built out the front of the house, extended the front house into the front yard. And he had church for the neighborhood and Bible study on the weekend. So yeah, I was raised Christian. And then I evolved into a more of a spirituality stance
okay.
and and then a direct connection to the Most High. Because once I started realizing that where Christianity got its roots from, and then seeing the similarities in other religions, it was hard for me to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm holding on to this. It's like religious game banging and stuff like that, which is what most people end up. Oh, my religion better than yours. I'm like, look, I can care less what your connection with God is, as long as you ain't out here doing some demonic stuff out in your front yard, you burning stuff up.
Well, man,
Yeah,
a lot of this stuff, man, like I said, man, a lot of these pastors and a lot of these, faith healers, man, you know, they using. I'm just gonna be real. They using tantra. They using tantra. They just ain't telling you they doing it. They just ain't telling you doing. They read a couple books. They doing some mystical stuff, and then they out here uh, pimping their pulpit in the name of whatever
I wouldn't
whatever they say.
necessarily call it tantra, but yeah, they're tapping into the energy realm because I used to
They're
be.
tapping into some kind of energy like that.
Yeah, they have some knowledge of the esoteric space because otherwise, I mean, you've got like, technically you have to, you should. The thing is, there's also functioning from that scarcity capacity where they're enslaving the people, utilizing
Mm.
because
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the tantric path when you're operating from the purity because there's a light and a dark side to everything. And so just as, when you come into this understanding and knowing, you got options. You can use it for good or you can use it for whatever. You can use it to control situations. And so that's why in the past, back in the day, it wasn't readily available. It was something that was practiced amongst the royalty and passed down in those lineages because getting this information, you can do some amazing things. You can heal a whole lot of folks. You can help guide a lot of people to become the highest and best versions of themselves, or you can control and lock down and suppress and have somebody function, in a slave capacity just as
Mm.
easily because now you have this knowing and understanding, and so you're operating at this level, and then when and then that the people that are that you're dealing with that look to you, you're using that to control them. So it's something that you really have to function in dealing with people from a pure standpoint because they can't really pimp from the pulpit. Yeah, the thing to keep in mind, though, a pastor, because I was the minister of finance for this church back in LA, and I remember like he would speak to certain things and kind of see where my mind was at, and he was like, oh, you know about that? Oh, you know about that? You know about the higher states of consciousness? I was like, oh yeah, and he started going to the passages in the Bible where they refer to humans being gods and godlike and having godlike energy, godlike powers. And he told me to my face, he was like, man, I wish I could have this conversation with everybody. But he said, the general population, the general people that's sitting on the other side in the pew, they ain't ready for it. And I was like, no, like what you mean? Like everybody, I'm thinking I'm young, and I'm thinking everybody should know this, or at least be open to it or be excited. Like, man, what? I'm God. I got a direct connect to the Most High,
Brother, let me tell you something.
and He
We
with
had something similar happen. I
hmm
was also over the finances of a church
Yeah.
of a church finances at one time,
hmm
and I have the same conversation. The pastor just happened to be my buddy, but I
Yeah.
have the
Yeah. Yeah.
same
And we got real tight. We were
he
real
was
tight.
like, "Man, I wish I
Yeah.
can have the same conversations I have with you with everybody else." And he would say, "But I was like, man, listen, you know, I read the Bible from beginning to maps, man.
Uh-huh.
I understand when he said ye are also gods, and I also
hmm
understand when he said that there are many gods.
Yes.
And I understand when he's talking about there are many principalities and powers and spirits and wicked and I can't go through it right now, but I
hmm
understood all that, and we would have these deep, 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 profound conversations. But
Yeah.
then when he go out there and preach in the pulpit, he wouldn't even touch on that, man. He would try to, but the moment he would go there, you would just watch him, just the whole crowd just get lost. Like they were
That part.
so simple minded,
Exactly.
it would just get
Exactly. And that's
they would get
exactly what
lost.
happened to me.
So it would cause him to draw back.
Yeah, because he was like, I'm gonna show you, Jeff. I'm gonna show you. I'm like, all right, cool. And I sat there like, okay, cool. We're about to elevate.
And I'm
We're
there
gonna
eating
take
it
it
up.
to the next
I'm the only
level.
one there getting the message, and everybody's like, "Man, this is
Crickets.
a tough message, Pastor." Like, what? Tough?
Crickets.
Yeah,
Everybody
man.
I looked around and I'm looking out over the crowd. I'm like, wait, what on earth? And everybody was just
Just
like,
they couldn't
yeah,
get it.
because they
They
all
couldn't. They
want to
couldn't
be led.
receive it.
Like, no, you the way, you the man of God, you
Mm.
are a leader. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and he's sitting there trying to empower them. He was like, and afterwards he's like, Jeff, I told you. He said they ain't ready for that.
So let
And
me do.
if
So,
you
so
did,
let me do this real quick. Not to cut you off. Let me do this real quick. We, the same way I brought up like an incident between Lori Hari and Michael B. Jordan, and you kind of just said, you know what, there's probably some womb imprint there. We need to we need to. I want to bring you back, and we got to do something like that,
okay,
where you can. Of course, you don't know the whole situation, but you
I'll
give
look
your
into it
best.
though.
You give your best diagnostic of, okay, this is an example of this situation, and this is an example. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Yeah,
I want to bring up celebrities and stories and things like that where you come in and you just give us a demonstration of tantra. You don't have to go into the healing and the energy of part of it, but you can go into the counterfeit personas,
oh yeah,
the
yeah, we break it all down.
and break it, and I want you to break it down. We got and then
Yeah,
eventually I want to get to the point where we have a big enough people watching the show to where they come in and they ask you questions, and you're able to
okay,
do the same thing with them. But like, you know what? Without knowing your situation, this is what it sounds like.
yeah,
Without knowing
yeah,
your
absolutely. Oh
situation,
yeah,
man, I'm telling you, we can help so many people. I'm talking about men, women.
hmm
We can really go into it and do something like that. I think that'll be great. Give me a couple more weeks. I just hit 2K subscribers.
okay.
Let me
Yes,
uh
that's right.
let me
That's what's
let
up.
me do this.
That's right.
All right, we just hit 2K subscribers, man. We ain't there yet, but when I get to 10,000 subscribers, man, I'm going full time into this YouTube thing. I'm
Okay.
going full time into content creation and YouTube.
Yeah.
Once I hit 10K mark, hopefully, well, I don't know. Should I say hopefully? Let me do some affirmations here. Before
hmm
the end of the year, I will be at 10K
That's
subscribers.
right. Yes.
Before
And
the
so
end of the
it
year,
is, brother.
be at
And so
10K.
it is.
But I want to
Mm-hmm.
do something also on the Patreon. And I can't wait till your channel blows up and you got your own Patreon. But we gotta collab on the Patreon, and I want the people that subscribe over there to the Patreon. get access to some of this tantra. Not going in too deep because we don't want to scare people. We don't want to get them shaking, having
Mhm.
convulsions and that. But we want to give them just enough introductory into it uh, to where we can diagnose and help some people in a, in a small way. Like I said, not too energy wise yet. You know that
Yeah, but just
if they want that full tantra, they got to go. They got to go to your page. They got to subscribe to your Patreon, right? But
mm,
over here, we're gonna give you that counterfeit persona, that you know your womb imprint, your we want to help some people like that, and we want to even diagnose some of these celebrities like Jada and Will and Nicki Minaj and her man. We want to go into things like that because not because we want to be in their business, but because they're celebrities, they're open books.
right.
People want to be in a relationship, and obviously people look to celebrities as some kind of leader of something. I don't think they should,
Yeah,
but
but that's the society we live in.
people
That,
look at them to like. So we need to help diagnose some of these celebrities and
mhm,
then also diagnose some of these people. Main thing is we want the men to be men, we want the women to be women, we want to harness that masculine energy, we want the women to harness that feminine energy, that feminine power that they got, and we want to bring back the man and the woman
mhm.
to where we're not warring anymore, we're not beefing because
Right.
there's still a gender war going on, man,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
we have to somehow.
We all need healing.
Yeah, we got to get healed, man. Like I'm tired of
Mhm,
talking. I'm done arguing, or not even arguing, but
mhm.
even typing and going back and forth with some of these women, modern women who are not healed, who are
Mhm.
only going to spew whatever negative, whatever they're going through. They're only going to spew it back out because they don't want to understand logic. They just
Right.
they just understand how they feel, and
Right.
they don't care about the logic that I'm trying to hit them with so they can be whole. They just care about this is how I feel and I want to be right and you're gonna have to accept it. Man, and you're not gonna make me bow down, ladies. It's not gonna happen. I don't care. You can say whatever hateful. I'm in a wheelchair, and you could skirt wheelies. You could do it all that you want to do. It's not gonna hurt me.
Yeah.
Okay, none
Well,
to that. I
well,
know who I am,
As Nick Yama would say, everybody's not fit for human consumption.
man.
They're not fit, and so as
Man,
Master Yah would say, once somebody gets to a severe or necromancy stage, I don't care how much we want to help them,
can't help
they
it.
too because they've been riding a horse so long with the announcer of the cowboy that they think they are the horse. They don't
Godly.
know, they forgot how to walk on their own. They think that counterfeit persona is who they are.
Shame.
Yeah.
Shame.
And
Shame.
that stems from that pain that they feel, that pain, that childhood pain that they're still holding on to, that they couldn't understand or comprehend as a child. So they created this wall, and they go through life in that and functioning in that with that wall in front of them, thinking that's who they are. And a lot of times on one level they know it's wrong. A lot of them they'll speak to it, and then I've heard it like with my first wife. She's like, "Well, that's just how I am."
Mm.
I was like, "What?"
I can't stand people like that that just
That's
don't
just
want to
how I
change.
am.
That's just how I am. I think their bad behavior is just that's just how I am, and you
Yeah,
have
she's
to
like, I'm petty. I know it. I was like,
really.
"Hmm?"
Eh, well, guess what? Go be petty by yourself, because
Yeah,
I don't got to deal with that.
that
You know
part.
what I'm
Now,
saying?
speaking of that, I mean, I love her. She's the mother of two of my amazing daughters. She served her purpose in my life, and at the same time, we were young, and so she's grown, and I've grown. The thing is, when you keep in mind that we are who we attract, she
Mm,
was who I was in that moment. She was a reflection of who I was. And then
mm,
as I began to evolve, we all evolve at different rates in different ways. Some people have arrested development, they never change. So is
mm.
she the same person that she was back then? No. Am I the same person I was back then? Hell no. But at the same time, so I don't I don't fault her for being who she was in that moment because she's a product of what she grew up in. You know,
True.
yeah, she, with her mom, her
True.
mom did some stuff to her and was treacherous towards her. So
Man.
the fact that she even was who she was, the woman that she came to be, knowing that what
These
she came up with.
mothers of the baby boomer and Generation X generation are doing so much damage
Yes.
to their children, man. These
Hmm.
Generation X and baby boomer mothers, man,
Yeah.
have
So,
really dropped the ball, man. It's a shame, man. Even my own
mhm,
mother,
right.
you know, had it not been for my dad, could have damaged me in
Oh yeah.
many ways, man.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, it's generation.
Toxic mothers, man. Yeah.
It's
And you know
generation.
what, man? It's crazy, man, because they all have, even the toxic mother has a story of something bad happening to her.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it's just like a generational thing, and you're like, damn,
Yeah. Oh,
you
it's
do.
crazy, man. It is
Man,
crazy.
give us your final thoughts, man. Tell us again what the books we need to start reading. Tell us how we can how we can partner with Quantum Wellness Ministries. Tell us again. Give us sum us all up, man. Sum us all up.
Let's see. As far as the books are concerned, Master Yao has 4 books. This is the foundation of everything that I've learned, and then I spread from there. But the first thing you want to read is the Awakening the Master Masculine, for the brothers, and then Awakening the Master Feminine for the men. I mean, for the women. That will give you the blueprint, the foundation to be able to start to heal yourself, because that's the biggest issue is we got to be healed. And so
Yeah,
it breaks down um, the the masculine faculties that we need to present and embody as men, and the same thing for women, so that we can elevate and be the highest and best versions of ourselves within a relationship. Because without these, there's going to be something lacking. Like, say for instance, for me, when I had I always had my healer. I always had one of the archetypes on deck, but to the detriment of the other, and not them all at the same time. And so, in order for me to have my healer on deck, it took away from my hunter ability. And so, in order for me to have my the hunter archetype, that's the hunter, exactly what it means, the hunter gatherer, going out, making the money, you know. But I did that at the expense of, and that was part of my counterfeit personality, was I did that at the expense of having my healer lover archetype offline. It's like I'm grinding, 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 but what about this loving, nurturing part of me that got suppressed? Because it was like I can't do them both at the same time. It's one or the other, but that comes from a position of lack. That comes from that scarcity mentality that we function in this society. Like, there's not enough time in a day. There's not enough. No, there's more than enough. There's more than enough available for everybody to have what they need. It's just what goes on up here and in your heart. That's what determines that. And so those are the first 2 books to get, because they go into the nuts and bolts of what needs to be done to begin your ascension. Because you have to heal, and then it talks about the counterfeit persona in detail as well, and how to identify, because it's identifying it, and then you start to go deep within, and how to get to the other side. There's another book that kind of is like the overview. That's like the granddaddy of all his books, was the Amanda Project. He spent decades going into different ancient practices all over Africa, in India, Asia, and then also in indigenous cultures here in the United States, and our Native American cultures, and pull from different practices or different versions of Tantra to incorporate and make that and create the active Tantra system, which is known as Grand Trine. And
mm,
so the first 2 books and so that was the Amanda Project. And so that's where that kind of like is the all-encompassing book to read, even though it's out of print right now. But when it does come back in print, you definitely got to get it because they sell out fast. But Awakening the Master Feminine, Awakening the Master Masculine, those are the first two books. And then the third book in the series is the Holy Grail of Orgasm. That basically describes, it's like the culmination of all the books. And that goes into detail on how to attain the highest levels and utilizing orgasm to manifest whatever it is you want to have. Matter because people think about from sexual practices, the only thing they're gonna manifest is a baby, but no. When you look at we're talking about like sex magic and stuff like that, you can materialize and create anything the life that you want through leveraging the power of the orgasm. And because what happens is at its highest states, at its highest level of connection, orgasmic energy, that's rising our energy from the base in our sacral region all the way up through our crown and then ascending into the most, connecting us with the most high, with the universe. In doing that, now that DMT starts to get created. And the Holy Grail of Orgasm is that. It's how do I create DMT, the God molecule that taps me into the most high and create the life that I want. Yeah.
Okay. Now I bet. Now I know a lot of women love to hear that. They love manifestation. They
Hmm.
love it. Like, man, if they can create that DMT,
Yeah.
they
And,
can get.
oh yeah. And so now when you come, you're unified, in your relationship with your mate, you tap into these higher levels of being because we're when a person is connected to their energy, to their energy center and to their positive pole, they exist in life on a whole nother level. And so I flow through life in an orgasmic state. And so when I drink my drinks, I eat food, live food. When I go out in nature, when I'm in the, touching trees and walking through grass, I don't even wear shoes most of the time because I like to be grounded and feel the energy from the earth. That's that orgasmicness, that thing that it charges me. It charges you when you tap into that you can't even imagine life outside of that. And so when you're talking about like ayahuasca, that's a similar experience that it connects you with everything. It connects you with everything, and it helps you see your ugly side. It helps you deal with that. It helps you ascend above and beyond that, and it helps you become an enlightened being. It helps you, connect to your God self. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
those are the
So
books. Yeah,
so
and then
that's
we
good.
offer classes as well.
Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
Tell us how if someone wants to get in contact with you, Quantum Wellness Ministries, how would they do that?
Yeah, you can tap into either quantumwellnessministries.org or quantumwellnesscenter.org. And so the center will take you to the actual site where they have like all our services and products and stuff like that. We have a complete library of books that discuss. It's pretty much the books that I'll be adding to it to include the other books outside of Grand Trine that I dealt with and learned from. Because people all because the thing is, I work on like professionally, I work on women in the tantra space, and then I teach men and women in a couple setting how to do the work themselves. Because my thing is, I don't need to be the go. I don't need to be the come to me and let me do this work on you. This should be done as a part of every relationship. This is how men and women need to function together. And so my whole thing is teaching. If for those that don't have a partner or for whatever reason their partner's not like with it, because that is a common challenge, then I work on those women individually. But my goal is to really, if I could just teach full time, we have online versions of the classes as well. And so everything that
Okay.
I've learned, that there's a whole library of classes that cover all those topics that are available.
Okay.
And then
Perfect.
from time to time, Master Yao, because he's getting up in age, he doesn't do the live classes as much anymore. But everything's right there online. You can learn at your own pace. If you need coaching along the way, I'm always a phone call away or text away. And so we can add that in as well. If somebody wants that extra, like, okay, I heard this information. Okay, now what does it mean? How do I process that? How do I get to the next level within that space? Yeah, and so we're available for that as well.
Okay, great. Give us some of your affirmations, man. That you do that works for you. That you're using right now. That you're manifesting. Give us some of your those affirmations, man.
Those affirmations come up based on wherever I'm at in that space. And so the ones that I've done in recent times, it's based on what it is I want to accomplish. And so my manifestations now or affirmations are: I am Jeffrey. EYE am Jeffrey. I am God. Whatever I say, whatever I think, whatever I do, I manifest immediately, instantly. And then
Mm,
whatever it is that goal is that I want to manifest, then that comes right after that. And I
okay.
say that like when I go in the morning times, I wake up and the first thing I do is I go in. I have this huge closet. I go into that closet, into the darkness, and I start my morning meditation, my breath work, and that's what it's going through my mind, and that's what I'm internalizing. And then whatever it is I desire to have, then
How
that's
often should we be meditating?
every morning,
Every morning? Is it like a specific
at least
time?
every morning, and at night before you go to bed, if possible. Because
Now,
what happens is
what is this Tuesday
psychologically, it's
thing?
almost like a self hypnosis if you want to look at it from a cellular level. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
what is this Tuesday thing that I heard you say? If you want to get things done, Tuesday is the day to do it. What is this
Oh yeah. Every
Tuesday
day
thing?
of the week has an energy that's associated with it. And so Tuesday is a Mars energy. That's a masculine get to it type of energy that's accompanied with it on Tuesday. And so and that's through and there's multiple systems that I deal with, and that's something that I want to make sure I clarify moving in the future. So that's under the Bagua system, which is it's China made it as far as having a written version of it, and then there's a brother by the name of Ra Nefra Amen, the one that wrote Metu Neter. He also wrote the I Ching Prixis, and that breaks down the whole Bagua system from top to bottom. But in that, it shows you what you should be doing every day of the year, every hour during the day, based on when you were born. And then there's an energy, a dominant energy each day. And there's a time for the energies, the subsequent energies that come along with it throughout the day. And so there's certain things or ways that govern your life that you're in alignment with the energy of the universe that supports what you're doing. Yeah, so there's certain times of the day that you should be doing certain things. You can do anything anytime, but if there's ever a certain time that you should do a certain thing that's going to give you the most push with it, or the most support, universal support with whatever it is you're doing. So there's certain times of the day that you should study. There's certain times of the day that you should be making phone calls. There's certain times of the day or certain days of the week that you should be networking. There's certain days of the week that you should be broadcasting. There's certain days of the
Now,
week
is
that
there a book
you
for
should.
this?
Hmm?
There's a book for this?
Yeah, the I Ching Praxis.
The I Ching Priestess.
Praxis, yeah.
Priestess.
Freaks. Freaks.
Priestess.
Yeah, don't ask me to spell it.
Okay. Okay.
You
Okay.
know what?
I
After we
Ching.
finish, I'll come back and I'll put like some links.
Man, do that for us,
Yeah,
man. Do that.
I'll
Come
post the
back and
links.
put them on the YouTube. Put them on the
Okay.
YouTube, not the Facebook. Put them on the YouTube.
Okay.
That's where it's gonna get the most maximum. So if
Yeah.
you can come back and what you do, if you put them up there, I'll try to pin them so that people
Okay.
can see them
Yeah, absolutely.
better.
So everything we touched on, I'll make sure I follow up with the link and stuff like that. and that
Appreciate
way
it.
people have access to it. And I'll give some reference to it as well.
Okay,
Yeah, but
man.
the
This
books, the
was
classes, anybody got questions? Always, feel free to hit me up. It's all good. Yeah.
y'all heard him, man. Hit him up. I am Jeffrey. You're on IG. You're on Quantum Wellness Ministries on YouTube.
hmm
Quantum Wellness Ministries on Facebook.
Yep. Or
You
I
can
am
also go
Jeffrey on
to,
Facebook too. So
or
yeah,
I am Jeffrey on Facebook.
either
And then
or.
you have quantumwellnessministries.org
hmm
and then
And then
quantumwellnesscenter.org, right?
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Man, make sure, yeah. Let me just put something like that in. You know what? Can you put it in the in the comments?
Yeah,
Can you put the because I'm gonna misspell it. I don't want to misspell it. I don't want to
yeah,
misspell it.
yeah, that's cool. I can't do it from my phone right now, but as
Okay.
soon as we finish, I'll
Okay.
post it. Pop
Okay.
it.
Perfect. Hey man, Jeffrey, the guru. I am Jeffrey. Okay, man, this was very, very eye opening. This was very, very interesting. This was very, very. I mean, I've learned so much, and I know if I'm learning, the people who are watching my channel are learning. You know, as men, I always teach you guys, man, we got to move with intention. We got to be more intentional. You know, this is that right here. You know, I don't think that tantra is gonna harm you. I'm telling you,
No,
tantra's gonna help you. It's gonna
absolutely.
enhance you. I
It
don't
saved my
care
life.
if right. I don't care if you are a non-spiritual person. I don't care if you're a very religious person. I think you need to take the time to look into this, and you'll see a lot of similarities between what you believe in and what also the teachings of Tantra.
No,
So,
absolutely,
so
absolutely.
it's not you're not gonna go to hell. Okay, you're not gonna
No.
go to hell. Okay, you will be all right. Jesus still loves you.
Oh
But
yeah.
this is some amazing things, man. You got to harness your masculine energy. You got to be healthy, not just mentally but physically as well. You know,
Mhm.
and for women, that watch this channel, you got to understand that there is something called a womb imprint. Okay,
Mhm.
and it can hurt you or it can help you you know
Yeah,
so
that
you
part.
want to make sure that you don't have the bad room imprint. You don't want
Mhm.
you want to be able to have a happy, healthy marriage, right? You don't want to be in a marriage to where you're bored all the time, or you think you're not sexually satisfied, or there's something hindering you from connecting with the man that's supposed to lead you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we want to we want to revisit that. And again, I say a lot of things about modern women. I talk a lot about modern women and toxic women and toxic femininity and all this stuff. But I want you to understand that I'm not about causing dissension, but I am about holding you accountable to the problem. We gotta go. We know what the problem is. Now we got to get to the solution.
Right.
Now we got.
Absolutely.
And this is part of that. This is Tantra can help you get to the solution. We want to identify those those personas.
Mhm.
What do you call them again? Those
Counterfeit
counterfeit
personas.
counterfeit. We want to identify those counterfeit personas,
Yeah,
and we
that
want
pain, that pain body collar.
that
It's,
pain body color,
it's,
and
it's
we
like
want to be able to
it
connect.
cut you off. It get cut you off from the Most High.
We want you to connect with the Most High, not
Mm-hmm.
disconnect. And if you
Mm-hmm.
connect with the Most High, we understand that you're going to connect with your man. We want you to connect with the man, with the leader.
Absolutely.
Okay. And with
Mm-hmm.
that being said, man, hey man, thank you again, man. I
Oh no, my
appreciate
blessings, man. I appreciate you for having me on.
it.
Yes,
Man.
and I'm looking
You're
forward.
welcome
And if you want
anytime on
to,
the platform, my brother.
yeah, if you want to do something, we can do like a Tantra Talk Thursdays if you want. It's up to you.
Man, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
I'm with it.
Yeah,
I'm
we,
with
we
it.
can we can we can make it a regular time.
Let's do it, man, because
Yeah,
this is much needed, man. As much as I talk about modern women, we got to talk about some healing too.
yeah, because that's what we need, man. We gotta
That's
hear, and then understand everybody can't be saved
man.
because everybody don't want to.
Man, I'm a like I said, I'm you know I'm gonna cut back a little bit on this Facebook, man, giving these people, if y'all want that real stuff, y'all gonna have to come to the show. I'm not gonna sit there and go back and forth you trying to explain to you the logic that's in my mind that you're never gonna comprehend because you feel this way.
Hmm.
But if you're bold enough to come on the show or to watch the show, especially on Tantra Thursday, you're gonna get that power that you need. We want you to tap into your divine feminine, and we want you to tap into your divine masculine, and we want you to get the tools that you need to heal.
Yes,
Go out there and operate in this world, and be
absolutely.
and have that godlike character. We want you to
Yes.
walk in your godlike character. None of
Hmm.
this simping stuff going on. None of this pandering stuff going on. We want you to. I tell you all the time, man, you don't
That's
gotta
straight
lie,
lie.
man. If you're a man, you don't need to lie to your girl, man. You don't have to make up story. You can just be,
Mm-mm.
just tell her what it is. This is what time it is, and this is what time it ain't.
Yeah. And
You
either
know,
she's gonna say yes, I'm
and
good
she
with
she
it,
gonna
or no,
say,
I'm
yeah,
not.
no. I mean, you know
But at
what,
least
man?
she'll respect you.
Yes, it's better to be
Even
respected.
whether she like it or not, whether she's down with it or
Exactly.
not, at least she will respect you.
It's better to be respected than to be loved. I'm gonna tell you again, man. It's better to be respected than to be loved.
Right.
Love will come.
Hmm.
If you hang around if you channeling that energy, you hanging around the right people, you're gonna get the love that you need. But you need to get the respect. Make sure people are treating you the way you want to be treated.
Right.
The biggest
Absolutely.
thing. They can hate you, they can do, but make sure they're treating you the way you want to be treated. So with that being said,
Absolutely.
man, this is the Too Much Moxie podcast, man. And
Blessings, brother.
man, thank them. Hold on, man. Let me do this real quick. I got all these stuff over here. No, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. See, they got the wrong one. Hold on. Let me get the right one. Let me get the right one. There we go. Clap it up for this dude, man.
Blessings,
Clap
bro.
it up for this dude, man,
Appreciate it.
because man, you hit the nail on the coffin about a lot of things, man. You opened my eyes up on a lot of things, man. Tantra, y'all heard him. Now we gonna hold him to it. He said we can make this every Thursday. So every
Yeah,
Thursday,
yeah. Do a Tantra Talk
Tantra
Thursday.
Talk Thursdays. We
Yeah,
about to have it, and we about to go into it, and we about to let this. And I'm gonna hit him with some scenarios. I'm gonna hit him with some
hmm,
scenarios, y'all. We're gonna
yeah,
talk about celebrity couples on here. We're gonna talk about regular couples. We're gonna find out what is that pain collar shock, whatever. What
yeah.
is
Oh
that
yeah, that pain body collar. Yeah, yeah.
pain body collar that's holding them from having that divine connection and getting to the next level. We're gonna help y'all. We're gonna heal some of y'all up in here, man. We're gonna,
Yeah.
in the name of Jesus, we're gonna get that demon up out of you. We're gonna get that demon time up out
Woo.
of you, modern women. If you a modern woman, we're gonna get that demon time up out of you. Okay, that twerking up out of you. We're gonna get it up out of you. Okay, we want you to come back to the man. Come back to the power of the divine masculine where you're supposed to be. And we're gonna recognize your divine feminine like you're supposed to be. So we
Right.
want to we want to bring that mutual respect back so it ain't just one sided.
Oh
Y'all
yeah.
hear how this
Yeah.
brother talk, man? He's equal, man. I mean, he's not one side this way, one side that way. He's gonna tell you, he's not biased, is what I'm trying to say. He's,
Hmm.
as
Yeah.
I've been talking
We
to
need
him,
community healing.
as I'm talking to him, you could tell he's all about healing. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe I'm one sided. Okay, I'll take that. Maybe I'm one sided, but this brother, he's pretty balanced. He's pretty balanced. So that's what we need. We need balance. So with that being said, man, hey, thank you again for joining the show.
Yeah.
We
Your
definitely
blessings,
have
brother.
you back next
Until the
Thursday.
next
Man,
time.
we're gonna hold him to it. We're gonna hold
Oh
him
yeah.
to it. He said he's
Oh
gonna
no.
be here
Tantra Talk
Thursday.
Thursdays. We got
Talk
that.
Thursday.
3 o'clock Eastern time. If I'm
3
not
o'clock
with.
Eastern time, 10 p.m. East African time, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Man, we on all we cover the whole spectrum right now.
Cool.
So that being said, man, hey, peace out, y'all.
All
Love
right.
and blessings,
Blessings. All right.
man.
Until the next time, fam.
Till the next time, man. Peace.
One.